It's funny how the most significant revelations in life often come in the simplest moments. For me, it wasn't a screaming argument or a dramatic betrayal. It was an offhand comment from my brother Kevin that shattered everything. As I handed him money for yet another textbook, he rolled his eyes and said, "Why do I always have to ask you for this stuff? If you know I need it, just give it to me." That moment hit me like a freight train. For 3 years, I had been funding Kevin's college education, buying his books, covering his living expenses, and even surprising him with an old pickup truck when I saw him walking to campus. I thought I was being the responsible older brother. I thought he'd appreciate it. But Kevin's reaction? Resentment. "Why do you get to drive a nice car and I get this junk?" He complained about the truck. I didn't respond, but inside, I felt a pang of hurt that I couldn't shake. Here's the kicker. I didn't owe Kevin anything. My parents weren't struggling financially. They just didn't want to stretch their budget to support 2 kids. Instead, I became their go-to solution. My good job after college was my golden ticket to independence, or so I thought. Living at home to save money seemed practical at first, but over time it became clear that my role wasn't that of a son, but a personal ATM. My parents didn't hesitate to call me cheap when I refused to buy luxury items like vacations or the latest gadgets. Yet they had no problem asking me for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to cover Kevin's needs. "You're the older brother," my mom would say. "It's your responsibility to help him out." "Rent-free living has its price," my dad would chime in. But the same parents who demanded my financial help would turn around and tell me it was time for me to move out because a man my age shouldn't be living at home. The hypocrisy was staggering. For 3 long years, I endured this thankless cycle. The more I gave, the less I felt like part of the family. Kevin never thanked me for paying his tuition, buying his truck, or footing the bill for clothes and gadgets. Instead, he acted like it was his birthright. My parents? They praised Kevin's grades and hard work while criticizing me for still living at home and questioning my life choices. The resentment festered until it reached a boiling point. One night, as I vented my frustrations on Reddit, a comment stopped me in my tracks. "Why do you set yourself on fire to keep them warm?" I stared at that sentence for what felt like an eternity. It was the harsh truth I had been avoiding. I was burning myself out to support a family that didn't even appreciate it. That was the moment I decided things had to change. I began tallying up everything I had done for Kevin and my parents over the years. Tuition, books, clothes, car repairs, groceries. The number was staggering, tens of thousands of dollars. The realization made me sick. I wasn't just being used, I was being exploited. The following Saturday, at one of my mom's big family dinners, I decided to confront them. My stomach churned as I put down my fork and said, "Actually, I'm not going to pay for that, or anything else for that matter." The room fell silent. My mom looked at me like I'd insulted her cooking. Kevin smirked, assuming I was joking. "I'm serious," I continued. "I've paid for everything, your tuition, your clothes, even this truck. And I'm done. I'm not your parent, Kevin. And I'm not Mom and Dad's retirement plan." The eruption that followed was volcanic. My mom cried, my dad called me selfish, and Kevin accused me of betrayal. But I stood my ground. "I've already found an apartment," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos. "I move out next month." The days leading up to my move were tense. My parents tried to guilt-trip me while Kevin sulked around the house. But for the first time in years, I felt free. When I finally left, driving away felt surreal. The silence of my new apartment was both unsettling and liberating. For weeks, my phone stayed eerily quiet. No calls, no texts. That silence revealed a hard truth. Without my money and support, I was irrelevant to them. Months passed, and I started to rebuild my life. I picked up old hobbies, made new friends, and even posted an update on Reddit. The support I received from strangers was overwhelming. They congratulated me, shared similar stories, and reminded me that setting boundaries wasn't selfish. It was survival. Then, out of nowhere, I got an email from Kevin. "I know I've been a jerk," he wrote. I think I finally understand why you left. I'm sorry. Can we talk? Against my better judgment, I replied. Kevin admitted that after I left, our parents started pressuring him to fill my shoes. They wanted him to get a job, pay bills, and sacrifice for the family. I guess I didn't realize how much you were doing until I had to deal with it myself, he said. For the first time, Kevin apologized. He even told me he was planning to move out too. His email was followed by a letter from my mom, full of remorse and admissions of their mistakes. My dad called soon after, fumbling through an awkward but sincere apology. Trust takes time to rebuild, and I wasn't ready to fully forgive, but I extended a small olive branch, a one-time gift of $5,000 to help them get back on their feet, not because I owed it to them, but because I wanted to. Kevin eventually moved out, and our relationship slowly mended. My parents began to respect the boundaries I had set. And me? I finally had the life I deserved. But every now and then I wonder, what would have happened if I hadn't taken that leap? Would I still be stuck in that cycle, burning myself out for their benefit? If you've ever felt trapped like I did, just remember, you have the power to change your story. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories of breaking free and finding yourself, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.